PA bill to ban police face masks. Lawmakers target law enforcement concealment. A controversial bill has been proposed by Pennsylvania legislators that would prohibit law enforcement officers from concealing their identities with masks or face coverings during official operations. If passed, the law would require officers to wear identifiable uniforms, clearly indicating their department or agency affiliation. While the law would apply broadly, specific concerns were raised about Homeland Security and U.S. Border Patrol agents acting anonymously. The proposal comes after a recent incident where 14 employees were arrested by masked Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) agents at a West Norriton supermarket. Critics argue that masking identities allows government agents to exert excessive force without accountability. ICE agents wearing masks during raids has been a common practice that elected officials, particularly Democrats, have condemned. In Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass expressed worries that with ICE agents fully masked, residents can't discern if they are legitimate law enforcement or potentially dangerous imposters. U.S. Representative Madeleine Dean also spoke out against the practice after the supermarket raid in her district, calling the use of masks by unidentified agents unacceptable. 14 U.S. senators, including Cory Booker of New Jersey, wrote to the ICE agent's acting director criticizing masks operations for sowing chaos and confusion, putting both civilians and officers at risk. Incidents like the shooting of 2 lawmakers in Minnesota by a police impersonator have heightened concerns. Pennsylvania joined states like California, New York, and Massachusetts in considering anti-masking legislation for law enforcement. ICE cited an 830% increase in assaults on agents since last year as justification for the practice, blaming anti-ICE rhetoric from Democrats and media. However, bill sponsor Representative Joe Wexler contends that aggressive ICE tactics are provoking hostile encounters. While Philadelphia police and ICE declined to comment on the pending bill, Webster is working with law enforcement to include appropriate exceptions, such as for undercover operations. The bill's sponsors aim to increase transparency and accountability by ensuring officers are identifiable when interacting with the public. Northwest lawmakers push to ban ICE agents masking. New bill explained. Imagine a scenario where law enforcement officers can hide their identities during arrests, making it nearly impossible for the public to hold them accountable. This is the reality facing communities in the Pacific Northwest and beyond, as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) officers continue to use masks and generic uniforms during operations. On July 24, 2025, U.S. Senator Ron Wyden, along with other Democratic lawmakers, is championing legislation to ban this practice, arguing that it undermines transparency and public trust. The issue came to a head when a woman filmed ICE agents outside a Beaverton Montessori school on July 15, 2025. In the video, the woman can be heard expressing her distress, saying, "This is not okay. No one here will identify themselves to me." The footage shows several men in black vests labeled police with their faces obscured by balaclava masks. One of the officers responds to the woman, "We are immigration, clearly." This incident has sparked outrage and calls for change, not just in Oregon, but across the country. But here's where it gets controversial. Some supporters of the practice argue that it protects the safety of federal officers and their families, preventing retaliation from dangerous individuals. However, critics contend that it adds a layer of fear and intimidation, making it harder to ensure accountability. For instance, the family of Mahdi Khanbabazadeh, a 38-year-old father, released edited video clips of the ICE officers who detained him while he was driving his child to Guidepost Montessori School. This arrest marked the first confirmed immigration enforcement action outside an Oregon school, a shift from the previous federal policy that prohibited such actions near sensitive locations like schools, houses of worship, and hospitals. Senator Wyden's proposed legislation aims to mandate that ICE agents clearly identify themselves and prohibit the use of non-medical face coverings, except in cases of environmental concerns or undercover operations. The bill also requires federal agents to display their identification, including the name of their agency, initials, and their name or badge number. And this is the part most people miss. Wyden introduced the legislation even before Khanbabazadeh's arrest, highlighting the growing concern over this issue. He has also joined forces with other Democratic senators, including Patty Murray of Washington, to request more information from ICE regarding the mask and uniform policies. Tricia McLaughlin, a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security, defended the practice, stating that agents wear masks to protect themselves from sophisticated criminal organizations. She noted an increase in assaults against officers, emphasizing the need for such measures. Oregon State Representative Ricky Ruiz, representing Gresham, is discussing potential state-level actions to prohibit the concealment of law enforcement identities. Law enforcement in Gresham is not going to put masks on to make an arrest or a traffic stop. They're going to show who they are, and they are not hiding their identity, Ruiz stated. He emphasized that this transparency is crucial for public safety, pointing to a recent incident in Minnesota where a man impersonating law enforcement killed a state lawmaker and her husband, wounding others. As the debate continues, one thing is clear. The practice of masked ICE agents has far-reaching implications for public trust and safety. What do you think? Should ICE officers be allowed to conceal their identities, or does this practice go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Protecting ICE agents. The unseen dangers and need for anonymity. In a world where every smartphone is a potential threat, the safety of ICE agents has become a pressing concern. Terry Takashi's recent piece in the Wall Street Journal highlighted the historical significance of masks in protests. But the modern context has taken a controversial turn. With the click of a button, an agent's identity can be exposed, putting their safety at risk. This is a stark contrast to the march 62 years ago, where protesters wore masks without shame. But here's where it gets controversial. Should ICE agents have the right to conceal their identities while performing their duties? In the eyes of Kevin F. Swan, the answer is a resounding yes. The safety of these officers, who often put their lives on the line, should be a top priority. If wearing a mask is their choice, it should be respected. The real shame, according to Swan, lies in the perceived failure of President Joe Biden to protect Americans by maintaining an open border policy. And this is the part most people miss: the complex interplay between public safety, individual rights, and the role of law enforcement. It's a delicate balance that requires thoughtful consideration. What do you think? Should ICE agents be allowed to wear masks to protect their identities? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The debate is just getting started, and your voice matters.